So 11th question here is, have you ever written a test plan? Would you able to explain one year? So you should be able to explain. Normally being a tester, sometimes testers may not write test plan, right? Only like test lead or test manager would normally work upon test plan, but at least being a tester or a test lead, if you have an exposure or if you have knowledge, you should know at least about test plan being a tester. You should not that whether test lead works or test manager works, but at least you should have a clear idea of what is all about test plan. So test plan basically you will be a kind of a plan which you will be writing when you are doing any testing activity in that matter. Basically, test plan is normally covers the overall objective of the testing, and we'll be clearly calling out basically what are the things we are going to test it, what is in our scope, what is in our out of scope. So what are the risk factors and what are the issues which we'll be facing. Everything will be noting down in the test plan. Your resourcing, which all the resources would be working upon, what are the different types of testing you would be performing, either it could be functional or non-functional, right? What is your exit and entry criteria, right? So that we have to clearly calling out in your test plan. You're clearly defining in your test plan. Your test schedule, that also you're going to define in your test plan, in a detailed way, right? Then what is the way you're going to sign off, right? What is the way you are going to sign off? Who are the stakeholders? So everything will be detailed, you will be writing up in the test plan, and this test plan also will be getting reviewed from the various stakeholders, because this is very much needed, because test plan is not just for you, right? This is not just for a tester, because this test plan will be getting reviewed from the product manager, development manager, your test manager, right? Your scrum master, so that everybody will be agreed up for this test plan. Then once it is getting signed, then you will be using this test plan to execute your project. So that is how you should be able to articulate in the interview. This is how you should answer as well. So let's move on to the next question here is, how do you prioritize your testing? What factors might influence your decisions? This is very crucial, because with the given the complexity of the application which you are going to test it, and with the given limitation in the number of human resources or machine resources, you can talk about anything, right? You can talk about your human resources itself, or your computers, or you can talk about your software licenses, because lot many things may be there, and because of that you cannot go and execute your test cases in every area. Even let's say if you talk about web application, if you have 100 test cases, can we execute these 100 test cases across 100 browsers, 100 operating systems? It's not possible, right? And even do you really require to execute all 100 test cases? Even that is not required, right? Hence, normally every organization or every test lead, they would be doing a prioritization of the test cases. Let's say if you written 100 test cases, in that we may say priority 1 test cases is first 20, right? Next 20 is priority 2. Remaining 3, which is maybe some portion is P3 and remaining some portion are P4. So whenever you have more time, then we are trying to execute as many as possible, all 100, right? When your time doesn't permit, then you will be limiting only to the priority 1 and priority test cases. Let's say some places the fixes happen. Now you will be more focusing on the impacted areas. So you will be more focusing on the impacted areas. So all those things you should call out in the interview. That's how you are prioritizing, right? Sometime some of the functionalities which are so core functionalities, which is really client is looking, then you would be more focusing on those test cases, because the client is really looking those functionalities. Hence, you will be prioritizing your test cases based on the client influences as well, right? And even sometime again, you will be taking the feedback from your product owner, your business analyst, your development team, and you will be optimizing your tests also accordingly, right? Hence, you can talk about all these things, different parameters which you have taken to prioritize your test cases, and these are the some of the factors which is getting influencing when you are doing a prioritization. So let's move on to the next question. How do you know when it is time to stop testing? So basically, the when you will be stop testing, normally you would be writing an exit criteria in your test plan. So there you will clearly calling out when you will be stopping your test cases. So normally when you will be stopping test cases here is when you have a priority one defect where you're not able to proceed further at all to test further. That is the time you will be testing your testing. Our second thing is you have covered all the test cases, you have done all executions 100%. Then there is no further testing is left, then you will be stopping there also. Or when whatever the exit criteria you are defined, let's say your exit criteria says that 90% pass rate, then if you're able to meet that criteria, then you will be stopping your test cases. That is the time as well. Or the fourth time, let's say your company or your organization wanted to stop your project because lack of budget, then you can also say that you are going to stop that testing because you do not have enough budget. So these are some of the examples which you can provide to help them to understand you're really experienced person or you are having a good understanding about the overall testing concepts. The next question here is, what is the role of risk in your testing? How do you analyze and measure? So as I was saying, for the test plan writing, there is also a section in the test plan where you should clearly call out the risks. Each risk also carries with a mitigation because as a lead or as a tester, you should be able to anticipate well in advance what are the risks may pop up, what are the risks may be popping up, what are the mitigation you should also plan well in advance. You can talk about risk on your test environment, you can risk on your licensing, or you can have a risk on the some of the resources are leaving the organizations. You can talk about some of the risk on the some of the communication gaps with the various stakeholders, or some of the risk on the functional gaps. There are various risks may be there. Then you should talk about those risk which are really taken care in your organization, and you also start mitigating those risks, and you start measuring also like the way you brought in the risk well in advance. Because of that mitigation measure, we are able to tackle the issues in a very effective way. If you're able to articulate the way I'm saying, then definitely interviewer would really like your profile. So let's move on to the next question. Do you measure how effective your testing? What metrics do you use? Because when you are trying to make a testing processes, right, when you're trying to bring in a testing processes, you should also bring in a test metrics as well, because you cannot just say that I will be keep doing something, right? Because for everything you should bring a measurements, whether in terms of the quality of the test case writing or the quality of test case execution, or the test cases which are passing or test cases are getting failed, right? With these basic metrics, you can bring in a complex metrics as well. Let's say post releases, let's say one project has been gone release. Now, what are the issues are coming from the customer, right? By keeping all those things, we can derive a lot of metrics, right? You just call out what all the metrics you have brought in your organization, and you should be able to explain those metrics, and because of that metrics, so how you are able to tackle the issues, right? In that way, you should be able to articulate in a very effective way so that people really understand that you guys really brings metrics in your organization, and also you have effective metrics also to measure whether it could be your review process, your execution, or development challenges, any other challenges. You can easily find out by looking into the metrics. So let's move on to the next question. If I left you testing for 2 hours, what would you have show me when I return? So basically he is trying to identify, like let's say they would like to find out your qualities or your abilities to bring a differentiation. Because let's say if somebody leave you for 2 hours, here they are looking, one is how good you are in ad hoc testing or how good you are in exploratory testing. Ad hoc means you're able to, let's say somebody has given an application and they are given a 2 hours time for you, then what all the things you might do is randomly, like monkey testing you'll be doing, or exploratory testing means you'll be exploring every part of the application and trying to find out as much as issues as possible. Or if somebody has given some deliverables to you, let's say your test plan, your test cases, you may be reviewing those test deliverables as well, or any document if they're given, right? You'll be reviewing each every aspects and trying to provide your inputs. So that is how you should be able to articulate. You cannot just say that I'm just going to be settling idle for 2 hours without doing anything, right? The goal is how proactive you are and how effectively you're using your time in an effective manner. That is how they wanted to know from your answer. So let us move on to the next question. Have you automated any of your tests and also? This is very crucial because these days we cannot survive without automation. Automation is very much needed, and you should have experience in automation as well. Otherwise, your resume doesn't fly. Hence, you should able to articulate like what are the tools you have been using, what are the way you are able to handle these tools, whether it could be functional tools or non-functional tools, security tools. So what are the various frameworks you have brought in? At least you should be able to articulate yourself. You are well versed in automation, and you are able to bring a lot of value addition by bringing the automation by using any of those tools. So let us move on to the next question. So what is your favorite testing tool? Why? If some technical constraint means you are unable to use it, what would you do instead? So this is a very crucial question. So they would like to understand, so what is your favorite tool means. Normally, whenever we say a favorite tool, that means they will also expect you should be an expertise in the tool as well. Because you're liking the tool, that means they expect you should have worked good amount of time in that tool, right? And you are become an expertise, then you should be able to tackle yourself whatever the issues, right? Maybe let's say if you're not able to tackle yourself, maybe you know where to find the answer. Maybe you'll be going to the different forums, or you will be talking to the various SMEs in the given organization or other projects, and you will be exploring all the different ways. Then you will be bringing to the leadership notice. That's how you should be able to explain. If when you are able to explain, articulate in a different way, then definitely your the person who is interviewing you, you will be getting impressed. Otherwise, you will feel that is another candidate. You have to be very confident when you are trying to answer this. So let us move on to the next question. How do you know when your automation found a bug? What makes it a bug? Are bugs are important than others? How do you report them? So basically, this is the foundation question for any software testing, right? When you will say you are finding an issue. So when your functions are not working as expected, because you have your test cases, you will be going through one by one line, and if something is expected results are not matching, you are going to log as a bug, right? Or if it is not behaving as expected, as per the industry standard, something is clearly defined. If something is not working, then you'll be logging a defect. In the same way, in the automation reports also, your reports would say things have failed, right? And also when you're logging a defect, you should also log a defect in a more of a severity wise as well. What is the impact because of that defect? Whether all our test cases are getting blocked, or all our efforts are getting blocked because of that bug, or still I can continue. Based on that, you can log a defect in a severity. and you will be logging the once defects are logged. If it is a severity 1 defect or severity 2 defects, you immediately communicate to all the stakeholders that this is blocking our test cases. We need your immediate attention, and also we need immediate fix for it. Something like that, you will be communicating to the various stakeholders, and also you would be handling a defect triage meeting just to walk through all the issues, and you will be walking through in that meeting like what are the different steps to reproduce so that developer will be able to fix that issue at the earliest. The next question would be, what do you do if developer decide the bug is not a bug? This is a very good question, and this is a very question would be asked for to check whether you are a conflict person or you are just a person. If somebody closes it, you don't bother, right? Basically, what you should do here is whenever developers closes it, right? If he closes the bug, what you can do here is why you feel that as a bug means to in order to justify that you will have a requirement, right? You have a requirement, against that requirement you have logged a defect, right? And what you should do is you should take out the requirement streams. This is how the requirement says, and also this is how the requirements expects also. And also, if you have any real industry experience, then you can bring that experience as well with some examples. You can talk to developer one on one and help him to understand why you are feeling that as a bug, right? If you are not able to get convinced, you take your help of your boss as well, then try to convince him. And if they are also able to convince you that why they are not feeling a bug with a real reason, with a real valid reasons, then you can close a bug. Otherwise, you can escalate to the next level. Maybe if you need to bring product owner, then bring the product owner, provide a clarification to developer team that this is very much needed functionality. This is really a bug. That's how you are going to articulate in an interview. These are all the things you are going to do as part of if developers feel that your bug is not a bug.